Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast. With the Buddy and Bullwinkle show.
Yeah. I'm tired. It's been a little bit of a stretch.
Well, that was a long hunt.
Yeah, no. I'm just catching up on sleep. Like, just barely. I still have, like, at the end of the day, my eyes are hurting.
They're on fire.
Yeah, they feel weird. I'm like, man, I don't know what the hell's going on. But it's like sand in them or something at the end of the day. So I don't know. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a whirlwind between traveling up for the moose hunt. Like, it's like 2 days. You could do it in a day, but it's really challenging.
Drive though.
Yeah, so I always like to cut it in half, just because when you cross the border, I don't like being in a rush.
Or look all strung out because you've been driving all night.
Yeah. Like even today, when I first got there, so I pull up to the border and I'm used to it. I've done it a couple times now, so I'm like, oh yeah, I got a gun. Going hunting, need to, declare firearms, whatever. And they're like, okay. They ask you common questions, whatever. So you pull up to the little, I don't know what you call it, but like little concrete pad. You got to go inside. You got to go pay your $25 or $35 fee or whatever. So I'm sitting there, and they take all your information, and they're like, okay, go have a seat. And I'm like, okay. So I go sit down, and it's a young game. It's not a game warden. It's a border agent. Comes up and he goes, "Where's your guns?" And I go, "They're in a gun case in the back seat of my truck." And he's like, "Is the case locked?" And I'm like, "No, the case is not locked." "Okay, well, give me your keys to your truck." They're in the truck." "You locked your keys in your truck?" I go, no, the truck's unlocked. He's like,
oh, that was going to get a way better story, and you let me down.
He's like, so there's a gun in an unlocked case in your truck, unlocked,
that's unlocked,
with the keys in it. And I'm like, this doesn't sound.
Yeah, you might want to hurry and get this one done, man. You could have some problems. That's how you go to the front of the line.
When you say it like that, it don't sound that good. I'm like, I come from a little podunk town. Guns are like hammers. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
you got four in the truck.
Right. I'm like, what? So he just looks at me and goes, Are you being serious? And I'm like, yeah, I'm dead serious. That's exactly how this is. If someone's going to steal my truck at Border Patrol, you guys got bigger problems than I do.
Yeah.
I figure it's pretty safe. So
he ran out to your truck.
No, so now on, I'm going to lock my truck and bring the keys in with me. I don't hardly, I use my keypad a lot just to lock shit. And if I got to lock it, so I'm never worried about it as much. But apparently, the Border Patrol for Canada, there's probably some rules about leaving guns unlocked.
Yeah, and they're worse in California.
Yeah. So lesson, if anybody's going to travel to Canada and you bring guns, lock them up. Lock the truck. Just pretend like those guns are the Antichrist and you have to protect them at all costs.
That is crazy.
So it was, he didn't give me much more grief out of it. But when he explained it back to me, that was enough.
That's when you're like, yeah.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I get
what you're saying. So, I can see your point. That's a great response in that situation. I can see your point.
Yeah. You still gonna let me go hunt?
Yeah.
So that was the start of my trip. It was.
Which gun was it? What'd you shoot up there?
A 7 PRC.
Oh,
James. So for Christmas last year, I told my wife. So. Oh man!
Back it up.
We've already got 2 stories down deep. So I have a 300 round. I've shot. I years ago, when I was was 22 or something. I was a kid. I had this deer. I had an odd 6 and I had this Bushnell scope on it. And man, I had this buck that was bedded down in the spot that he just wouldn't show himself till dark, just right before dark, last 5 minutes dark. And so I'd throw my binos up and I could see this buck and I could tell he's a good 3-point. And I'd throw my rifle up and I couldn't see anything. The scope, nothing. Just like black.
Light transfers.
I'd throw my binos up and I could see him and I'm like, damn, he's a freaking dandy. And so 2 nights this happened where I couldn't kill this buck because of the scope. And so I had just broken up with a girlfriend. So I was like vulnerable to spend money. You know what I mean? Like, so, oh yeah. so I marched down to, ain't no woman gonna tell me I'm a free man. I'm gonna spend my money where I want. So
if you would have spent that money on the scope the first time instead of more on the binos, good binos make a bad rifle scope even worse.
Right. So I buy this very X3 Leupold badass. I mean, just a freaking badass scope. And I was sitting there at the counter and I'm like, I can't put this on my odd 6. That's not. I mean, this doesn't make sense.
No.
So I bought a 300 Remington Ultra Mag, and that's been what I've hunted with forever, for the last 20 years. And I never did kill that buck because I never seen him again. But I did see a big ass buck the next morning. So that was Wednesday night. And I did miss the biggest buck I ever seen in my life at about 11 o'clock the next day with that 300 rum that was not sighted in with a bore sight. But I'll leave that for another story.
That's like leaving your gun in an unlocked case in an unlocked truck going out on a bore sight.
So I tell you that. The whole reason I tell you that story is since 22 or however old I was.
I love the lead in. That means this is a great story.
I traded one bad girlfriend for another unhealthy relationship with a 300 Ultra Mag that just smacks the shit out of you every time I shoot it.
Oh, right? Yeah.
So for 20 years, 25 years, I've had this unhealthy relationship with a 300 Remington Ultra Mag.
That just beats you.
It just beats you. I mean, you literally have to talk to yourself to sight it in. I mean, you got to be like, okay, calm down. It's okay, buddy. Okay, so
a lead sled.
And it just knocks the piss out of you. So a couple years ago, I put a muzzle brake on it, which tamed it down immensely. Like it was like, holy shit, I can shoot this girl. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But then, I started hunting with Bradley, and I'm sitting there next to him in the woods in the elk woods and thinking, holy shit, I'm going to blow my kid's eardrums out with this freaking Ultra Mag with a muzzle brake, which makes it even, I mean, it shoots nice. It doesn't kick as much, but now the muzzle brake just, I mean, it racks your ears. And so we were trying, the earmuffs and the headphones and stuff, and hunting is just hard to do with that. So I tell you this because, like I said, that Remington Ultra Mag came from breaking up with an ex-girlfriend, which, was a bad relationship. Then I get this other bad relationship the last 25 years. And so last year, I told my wife, I said, I kind of want to build another gun. I want to build a good gun that long range, it has some knockdown power. You know what I mean? Like this is a, end of life gun or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Like this is my new girlfriend.
This is you're going to ride this one till the end.
We're going to get the healthy girlfriend, right? We're going to do it right. We're going to have the suppressor on there so I can shoot it, not worry about ears, and it's cut down right. It's lightweight. It doesn't, abuse me. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy shooting it. And so I told James, I said, hey, James, here's what I want. I want to build a good gun. He's been building these kick-ass guns. And so we talked about it and got the caliber. We settled on the 7 PRC, which is kind of a new caliber, but he's like, you'll be able to get rounds anywhere for it. You can go to the store. I mean, the 7 PRC is not going away. I mean, this round's going to stay. And so that's what we settled on.
It's a big deal.
And we, he built, got the barrel put in there and the action, all that stuff, and built it, broke it in, did the load development, and it's just a sweet shooting gun. And so that's what I took, long story short. So now I got a healthy relationship with a brand new girlfriend called a 7 PRC. I can even name her. And I don't know if I'll ever shoot that rum again. I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do with that now. But I've killed a lot of things with that rum.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how do you get attached to your guns? Like the hunting guns? Like I have the gun that I grabbed. I have 2 hunting rifles.
Right.
And I want to build a third like you're talking about. You know, something I have shot 400 with just a 7 mag Ruger. You know, off the shelf. But to build one like a precision tool would be pretty awesome. And yours doesn't look goofy. It's the gray one, right? Like an overmolded stock, or is it like skeletalized?
It's skeletonized carbon fiber stock that we had Cerakoted with the design.
It's cool.
It's got the W logo. Yeah, it turned out really cool. It was, like I said, I told him, I said, I wanted it flashy enough that when you're close to it, you look at it and go, oh, this is a really nice build. But I didn't want to be like a goober up on the mountain where somebody's going to be like, oh, did you see that guy up there with that flashy gun? You know, so I wanted to be able to carry it around and not be like obvious, you know, so it's like almost embarrassing how, you know, nice of a gun is. So I just wanted it toned down. So I told him, I said, use like a dark tone, you know what I mean? Like, you know, not a lot of contrast and stuff like that. And so it was good. I mean, like I said, it shoots. I mean, it's like a hammer. Like first thing I shot was that moose and it put 2 in there. I was free-handed. It was a 120-yard shot. Wasn't nothing spectacular, but
still.
Freehand, I put 2 of them right exactly where I wanted. And, you know, I didn't need the second one, but when that moose
where did you want to put him?
I wanted him to drop.
Let's clarify.
He took 1 step, but he left that front shoulder forward, and so I just tucked another one in him. Like
nice.
Yeah, I mean, like I seen him, and I was like, I knew I hit him first time, but I didn't want to watch him. I watched a couple animals run off, and it sucks trying to go recover. So like while he was standing there, I put 1 more in him, and then I seen him do that little queeze dance, you know, where they're kind of like
wobbly,
wobble just a little bit, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's not going to feel much better after this, and so
shoot till something drops.
I had a third one loaded, but I could tell quickly that I didn't need to use it.
Yeah.
So the first shot, like I said, where I hit him, I mean, he was dead. There was no questions, and my shots were almost exactly placed. But he did take that. You know, he was stepping, so he took that step, and I tucked another one behind his front shoulder, and I was like, that was it. He was like, oh, it feels so good.
That was a big bull too.
Yeah, it was a good bull. We had I guess we should back up, but it was a 9-day hunt, a 7-day hunt with a pack in and a pack out. So it was a day to pack in. We started at like
on horseback,
7 in the morning, getting the horses and getting everything loaded up to the trailhead. You know, it took a couple hours to get 13 horses saddled and loaded, and I mean it's quite the orchestration. And then trying to get into camp, it's like a 12-mile, you know, ride. You know, it's like 10 miles as a crow flies, so maybe 11, 12 miles by trail. I don't know, estimating a little bit, but blowdowns. We had to get the chainsaw out. We ran out of bar oil. We were running out of chainsaw gas to get into camp. Geez. So we didn't get in. It was like a 7.5 hour ride to get into camp. So we didn't get into like 7:30, 8 o'clock, right at dark.
And then have to set up.
Well, camp was already set up. He had already gone in a week before and set up camp. So, but you got to get your gear set up, get your cot rolled out, and get some dinner and get ready for the morning. You know,
get a good night's sleep that first night on the cot.
Yeah. Try to figure out how to get comfortable, and then the first day we went out. Like I said, we heard a couple bulls grunt. Trying to call. It was during the rut, so we were trying to call, and we'd get a couple bulls to answer. You know, just they how the sound they make or whatever. And never seen one. And then I think day 2 we actually did have a small bull come in. You know, we come up with a game plan, but really we had 5 days of just like, it's
cat and mouse.
Yeah, like you knew they were there. You get these little instances that you're like, oh yeah, that's a moose, but nothing would respond aggressively. Nothing would come in. They just like tiptoe around in the woods and whether they're winding us or what, you know what I mean? Like it was just a hell of a game of cat and mouse. We'd even see their tracks. One time it had a little bit of snow in the morning. We see some tracks. I was like, shit, we know this guy was coming towards us, but we didn't see him. You know what I mean? Like we slipped by him somehow. And on the 5th day or 6th day, depending on how you count with the pack in or just the regular hunt, we had a 7-day hunt. So the 5th day of the 7-day hunt, we had decided to change our strategy a little bit and went to a silent, just stop calling. So we slipped into this spot we hadn't been, and me and the guide argued a little bit about where to sit. I was like, I want to go up higher. And he looked at me like, I'm the guide. Shut up. And I'm like, I'm the one that's paying here. So I'm like,
how did I know that was your response?
I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I am going to go up to that spot that I want to sit at.
And then you kill it, and he's like, God dang it.
Yeah. He picked the cut, but it was like a really long meadow, and it kind of had a small meadow, and it kind of necked in a little bit and then necked back out to a big meadow. And so we were sitting on the small meadow side, and I said, hey, I want to go up to that pinch point right there. You know what I mean? Because I said, I want to see that whole meadow. If we're going to sit here for a while, I said, let's just sneak up there. He's like, oh, we might bust him out of there or whatever. I'm like, I don't, like, dude, you know how much noise we made? Get in here. Like, let's just move up there. And so anyways, I won the argument. Surprising.
Weird.
So we slip up there. He's not happy with me. I can already tell, but I'm like, whatever. I don't care. If I'm going to eat my tag, I'm going to eat my tag knowing I did what I wanted to do. And so we get down there. We sit maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and we hear this little roar. And I was like, oh, shit, that's a bull. You know what I mean? We hear him off to our left. And so I rack one in the chamber, I was like, yeah, let me get one ready in case he comes in. Yeah. And we hear a second shot or a second, and not 30 seconds later, he steps out in the meadow, the big part of the meadow where I wanted to be. I couldn't see him because he was behind his tree still. And the guy's like, shoot that one. And I'm like, which one? What are you talking about? He says, that bull right there. And I'm like, I can't see a bull right now. And so anyways, I go to where he is and I can see this bull walking out and that was it.
That's awesome.
And then the work started trying to get him out. We had hiked every morning. We'd probably hike 6-7 miles a day on foot, out of camp. And I mean, this poor guide, I was working because I was getting,
he earned it.
Oh man, I was getting let's go check this way over here. Let's go. I'm not afraid to range out. So I was like, I want to go check this spot way over here. And it's like 1.5 miles away, and further from camp. So, we were reaching out 3-4 miles from camp sometimes.
Right.
And just finding stuff, I'm like, okay, I said, the way this, I need to let's just find some moose tracks and then we'll hunt moose. You know what I mean? But right now we're not seeing a lot of sign. Let's find some good spots so that we can really hammer the last couple of days. And anyway, and then we'd ride horses, from camp about 3:00 in the afternoon and ride out somewhere and sit. And so, we, ride, and then you ride back in the dark. I mean, pitch dark, you're riding a horse. You're like.
Is that the first time you've been with John, haven't you, on horses?
I've gone on mules with that, and I did a horseback elk hunt.
That's cool. I've always wanted to do that.
I had a drop camp where it wasn't a horseback hunt. It was a drop camp. So we rode in and they dropped our camp off. And then he left with the pack string and then we just hunted off a foot. And then he came back 5 days later, 6 days later and picked us up.
So
that was worth it. So that was kind of, I don't know. But the first time I got on, so we're at the trucks. First, day one, and I get on that horse, and I got a wide horse. The horse I was riding was pretty wide and big, and I think I had 3 muscles in my leg spasming and cramping at the same time. Like I'm like
the ones you didn't know existed until you get on a horse.
Holy hell! The inside of my leg, the outside of my leg, my calf, and my toes, and
it's a lot.
I'm like, holy shit! This is gonna be the most miserable trip ever. And I proceeded, but afterwards, man, after day 2 or day 3, I was like a regular cowboy, man. I was like ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to send you down south.
we had a couple train wreck. He had a new horse. He was like, somebody gave him a horse he was trying to pack with, and that thing was just a freaking rodeo. Like, we loaded some grain in it the first time, and I mean, it's just bucking, and it's already run through the whole pack straight line. And we're like, and the two gals, the guy and gal, his wife, they're from Wisconsin, not customers or anything, but I could see in their eyes, they were like, what do we sign up for?
I hope mine don't do that.
And I'm like, well, one of his horses, flipped over and he landed on his gun. So he's like all worried about that. And it was like, man, it was, because before that, I told him, I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but in my experience, there's always some type of challenge that happens on these things.
Oh, yeah. That's how you get a good story.
And I'm not sure what the challenge is going to be, but, because they're all excited at the truck. Like, this is going to be epic. And I go, well, just so you know, like, I'm thinking there's some shit show coming. I don't know what it is going to be, but.
Right.
Anyways, so, yeah, we had plenty of stories, but it was, all in all, it was good. It wasn't that bad, but we had a couple pack string blowouts. One horse just ran off, and it was just a little freaky.
Animals, man. Hunting with dogs is bad enough.
Yeah.
I get bucked off of good horses.
Yeah. My horse liked to eat, so every time you see a pile of grass, I was always trying to stop him from eating.
You're going up over the shoulder.
Yeah, he just like couldn't pass a big old pile of grass, which I'm like, sometimes I'm like, all right, Charlie, get your shit going. Keep up.
What was the horse's name?
Yeah, Charlie.
Love it.
Yeah. So, but it was good. It was probably the most enjoyable hunt I've had in a long time.
That's awesome.
Totally checked out. Like no internet, no phone, no nothing. I used one of those new inReaches, which is awesome. We should talk about that a little bit.
The picture came through. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, the Messenger Plus. They launched like a week and a half before my trip, and it's like the new Garmin Messenger, and it does photos. So you can send photos, and you can also send longer text messages. So like 1,600 characters. I think we did it.
We did a whole podcast. Yeah, it launched 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so we launched it before my trip.
Yep,
and,
just before.
I can tell you, I was a little bit skeptical about it. At first I was like, yeah, is it worth it or whatnot? But if you're doing a true backcountry hunt, it was awesome. Like,
yeah,
being able to send pictures. Like I talked to Garmin afterwards. A couple of guys over there that are in the inReach team, because I'm always a little bit hard on them sometimes whenever I don't like something. So I'm like,
always, sometimes.
Hey, just so you know, I said, because I sent him an email before on some of the issues I was having.
Was this the email to the whole Garmin mailing list you're referring to?
That's a whole different email. That's an old shit email. No, this was just one that I was like, hey, there's a couple things I just had some complaints on their app and the new one. And anyways, I had kind of reluctantly went to this Messenger Plus to try, because I was like, well, the photos would be cool, and the 1,600 character messages,
right?
Because the previous inReaches, you get 160. So you're like, if you got to apologize, it's really difficult because you got to apologize in separate text. You got 160 characters to apologize
and abbreviate that. It makes it even harder.
Abbreviations and apologies doesn't always work good. You know what I mean? Like, so you want, when you're apologizing, when you want to apologize in the correct tense, you don't abbreviate.
No.
But anyways, so the 1,600 characters was awesome. It works super fast. Like it has a mode where you can go to performance mode, or you can go to like low power mode. And so in performance mode, it's always listening, so you get your messages back pretty quick.
Oh.
And what I didn't fully comprehend on the photos is, after you kill that bull, right? So you have this amazing experience. That's when you want to share with people. You know what I mean? You're on this high and you're like, oh, check this out. So when you're out there by yourself and you're wanting to share that, that picture, I was like, yeah, I don't really care, whatever. So if I share the picture or whatnot, but to share with your core group, of people, your wife, your kids, your hunting buddies and stuff like that, your friends, and to be able to do that fairly efficiently and quickly is pretty cool. Like,
yeah,
it would have taken me 5 days. So let's see, I killed on the 5th. So the 6th, 7th, 8th. So it would have been at least 3 days before I could have sent anybody a picture of that thing.
Right.
And by then, holy hell, I'd already packed that thing out, totally exhausted. We went and packed the second bull out because that the other hunters killed a bull the next night. And so on the day 7th, I went over with them and we packed, it was like a 6-mile ride over to pack his bull out, back to camp, then to skin it. We had to debone it. We had to do all this work, and we had to load it up on 13 horses and pack back to the truck, which that took an all-day experience. Didn't get back till 7:38, and I was exhausted. And then I'm driving 2 days back home. You know what I mean? So by the time I would have been sharing photos with people, I would have been over that. I would have been like, all right, it's old.
I don't even want to talk about it.
I don't know. It was like, what? Like, it was just so much work that, being able to share and communicate in that first couple hours when everything was roses and like, this is awesome.
Yeah, right.
That part was pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
So that was a part that I didn't totally anticipate. I tried a couple times. I don't know if we talked about it, but Apple is doing satellite messaging. Did we cover that in that other podcast?
You talked about it.
I was not successful at getting a message to go with Apple over the satellites. Like, I tried a couple times, like 3 or 4 times, and I could not get a message sent using the text messages on Apple. So I think they still have some issues going, but I'm glad I didn't rely on that.
Yeah.
So
even the Messenger, that's what I'm using. Leap years ahead of what they started with.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, speed and time and reliability. Like, I don't question it. Used to, man, I stressed it. Because if I'm using it, I probably need it. Kind of deal. But the new ones, I had a buddy of mine actually just order one. So I'm going to check his out.
The buddy would order the new one?
Yeah, what is it? The Plus?
Yeah, Messenger Plus. Yeah, it's definitely, if you're looking, it's a little more expensive. I think they're like $500 or something. I'd have to check, but for what I'm, for that hunt, there was no doubt that it was the way to go. If you're entirely out remote for several days, those longer messages, the photo is one of those things. Okay, you could take it or leave it, but on a long hunt, a 9-day hunt, yeah, 100%.
Right.
It was worth it that way. You can do these messages and stuff. Sadie's telling me she wants in my lap.
Buddy and his lap dog.
I got a little lap dog right now. She's like, Daddy, this is boring. Let's get out of this room and go check a field for birds so we can go try and kill.
She's looking at me like, who is that weirdo? What about the other dogs? Are you getting them out at all?
No, not yet. Shelby came with me today, but no, I took her. So I got home Thursday, and I had to. I ran out of fuel on the way home. My truck died on the side of the interstate. Apparently, when Ford says you got 50 miles to empty, you don't have 50 miles to empty because I was
was James with you? I feel like that would be a story of you and James together.
James already ran my truck out of fuel the other day.
You guys are like
broke down. So anyways, we were hunting over and mopping on opening weekend for Bobcat, and his truck broke down on the way home. Anyways, long story short, I just let him take my truck and that gooseneck trailer to haul his truck home. And so he called me and goes, "Hey man, this truck, when it says 40 miles to empty, it's lying. Like it ran out of fuel. It just, it gives an error, low fuel pressure." So I had vaguely remembered that story, and that was a couple months ago, or a month ago. It was last month actually.
Yeah.
And so I'm driving home, and I grabbed a hotel room, and so the morning what I was going to do is I was going to meet the meat shop and drop the meat off at 9 a.m. when they open. So I was like, instead of getting home and then driving all the way back an hour or whatever, I was like, I'll just grab a room and then I'll just get up and start driving. So I hit this meat shop at 9 o'clock and just be right there first thing. So I'm texting the owner of the meat shop. I'm like, "Hey, I'm on my way. I'll be there at 9. They're going to close off meat, game meat, because they were full." So he's like, "Hey buddy, we're closing, taking game meat, but we're going to take your moose in still." So I'm like, "Thank you." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm on my way. No problem. I'll be there this time." Anyways, I pass this gas station, and it says I got 50 miles to empty. So I'm like, GPS.
Get it on the way back.
15 miles to the meat shop. So I'm like, "Dude, we're good. I'll just go to the meat shop, drop off my meat, and then I'll go fill up afterwards." So I pass this fuel station, which is one of the last fuel stations that I would be able to feel at. And I just hear my truck just go brrr, and I look down and it says low fuel pressure. I'm like, "Oh shit!" I'm talking to Laura on the phone. I said, my truck just died, shut off. So I kick it in neutral. So I'm cruising down I'm coasting. So I flip it to neutral, boom, fire it back up, shift it and drive, and keep driving. And so I drive another 2 miles, and then it's like, and it drops. And this time, ship it to neutral, and it's just cranking. I'm like, that was it. I'm like, shh. Emergency flash, they work great. Emergency flash, I gotta check those.
Ford makes sure those work.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my emergency flashers, they check that shit. Okay. The gauge, the fuel gauge, no, they don't make it. That don't work. No,
plus or minus.
Yeah, and because I hadn't even got the low fuel indicator to come on. Basically, I was like 51, I think, 51 or 50, I don't know, but. When I was dead in the water, it said 48 miles to empty. I know that because I took a picture because I was like, and I had suspected that's what it was. I suspected because a couple miles before that, even I was thinking, man, I'm getting really good gas mileage. You know what I mean? Like our fuel mileage. Because I was like, the last time I filled up was Quinnell, which is on the way towards the hunt. So I made it to his place, back out, and almost all the way home on one tank of fuel. And
wild.
I was thinking, I was like, dang, I don't think I filled up anywhere on this ride home. And sure enough, man, I didn't. I didn't have enough fuel. So Mick, thank you, Mick. He's a listener, I'm pretty sure. He hasn't gotten bored with us, but I was over by his neck of the woods. I called him and said, "Hey, Mick, are you at work or are you home?" He's like, "I'm at home." I'm like, "Is there any way you can bring me 5 gallons of fuel?" Like, I'm pretty sure I just ran out of fuel. And he's like, "Yeah, no problem. I'll be there in 25 minutes or so." And so I did some work on my phone, checked some emails, and
that's the only reason you got a hold of us, isn't it? You were gone that whole trip, and now we know you only called because you had nothing else to do but sit there. You can't deny that, people.
I can't deny that.
That's funny. So Mick earned himself some moose steaks.
Yeah, I owe Mick. He saved my ass, and so he brought me 5 gallons of fuel. And anyways, I dropped the meat off and got to a fuel station, filled up, and everything's been peachy since then.
There you go.
But yeah, kind of embarrassing. Be sitting on the interstate with a moose rack on the back of the truck pulled over with emergency flashers. Everybody's looking at you. What's that guy doing? Like, oh, but nobody wants to stop. Ain't nobody stopping anymore.
Those days are gone. Because you might kill him.
Yeah, like that guy looks like he's got a gun.
He's got a gun, guarantee it. People don't stop anymore, man. We picked up we were picking up our pigs, and we did it Sunday after church. So like, the kids are all dressed nice. We got a livestock trailer on, and we're pulled over on the side of the road with the flashers. And man, like used to, you would stop if you had a livestock trailer. I don't care. I'll stop. You know, that's usually my people. Every car just right on by, and we're in the middle of nowhere, you know, so I had to wait for my mommy to come save me.
Yeah. And then anyways, we got home. So I got home Thursday, tried to get my shit together, slept in a bed, which while I was gone, all the dogs have been conveniently taking my spot in bed. And I had that puppy Kit. So I'm laying in bed. I'm like, oh my God, this bed is amazing. It's been, 13 days since I've slept in my own bed. And that puppy's trying to sneak in my bed. I'm like, the hell with this shit.
Get out.
And you can tell my daughter's like, but Kit, she just misses you. And I said, Tyler, I'm going to tell you right now, like I've been dreaming of this bed for like 13 days.
Daydreaming because I couldn't sleep.
Exactly. In my bed. In that dream, there was no such thing as Kit. Like Sadie got a pass, so she comes into bed, sleeps with us in bed. But I'm like, there was no hound in my bed in my dream, and I'm not going to have a bad dream that has a hound in it right now. So I said, this dog's getting locked up. Now, if you want to sleep with her in your bed, you're okay. I don't care. You do whatever you want. But I said, I got one night. And so anyways, I slept my one night, and then me and Brad took off to the east side and ran over to James's country and ended up going killing a deer over there. So,
you got one, huh?
Yeah. We ended up shooting a really nice fork and horn, slick forky. He had a special tag he shoot any buck. Oh, nice. And so we went up there in the morning. Saturday morning we get up and we hike up this BLM spot to this other ranch and stuff. So we're in this spot where there's BLM and we're right on the border with some other ranches, which we had some permission to. So we could have hunted different spots, but we started on the BLM and we see this one buck that we're like, oh yeah, that's a good one. He's kind of running across these fields or these open sage fields and stuff. And so we're sliding over these hilltops and going over these little drainages to see if we can't peek into them. And we come across this other 3-point and, the one side he has broken off, so he has it was a 3-point with eye guards on one side and essentially he was a 3-point, but he broke off. So he was basically a 2-point, a nubbed out 2-point.
Right.
Because he broke off early. And so he kind of grew in some weird growth and he had a little eye guard there. So you'd probably call him a 2x3 if you really, looked at him. But he was really a 3x3 that was broken. And Bradley's like, no, I don't want to shoot that one. It's like, we want to shoot that fork and horn that we've seen because he was bigger. And
right.
So anyways, we watched a gal named Cassandra, which is the daughter of one of the ranch owners. They were hunting from another area, so they came in and seen it and shot that 3-point. And then there was that 2-point we were chasing was bedded below that 3-point. So we slipped around before that 3-point got up and shot that 2-point in bed. Right there. So Bradley slipped around. So we ended up killing 2 bucks, 2 different people coming in from 2 different sides. We killed both bucks within 20 yards of each other and never got those things out of bed. Like they both were totally bedded and laying down. And
that's wild.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So yeah, that was opening morning, like the first 40 minutes of opening morning. And we were starting to think like, maybe we shot too early. Maybe we should have waited. Like that was too easy. And then I still had a tag, which I wasn't going to shoot anything. I don't want to say small, but like I told James, I said, it's got to be a pretty decent buck for me to want to shoot it right now.
I got a moose in the freezer already.
I got a moose in the freezer. Like I got 415 pounds of moose meat in the freezer. And I looked at the weather and the weather's going to be rainy back home. So blacktail hunting is probably going to be pretty good later this, month. So I was like, honestly, if it's just a small 3-point, I'm like, if it's just a barely legal buck, I'm probably not going to be excited about shooting it.
Oh, because yours is a 3+.
Yeah, over there is 3-point or better. So Bradley could shoot that fork and horn because he had a special tag.
Like a youth tag.
Yeah, so we were kind of looking for one of those bigger 2 points. It wasn't like a mega 2 point. You know what I mean? Some of those mega, super, super wide.
I saw one the other night,
wanted
man.
one, but
those big, gnarly, reverted fork and horns are like my jam. That is the coolest thing to see, a giant fork.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we would have had more, that's what we were really hoping for, was just one of the mega 2 points. But, it was just a big 2 point, bigger than a 3 point. But that was it. But we didn't see any bucks, so to speak. We seen some more deer, but nothing that we could shoot. So we were lucky after we got back. And then Bradley won. They have a shootout every year, so they have all the different hunters stop by and shoot 3 rounds, and the tightest pattern, wins.
Oh,
and Bradley took overall on that with the
nice.
He won first place for youth, and he took overall. He just put 3 of them, like 2 of them in the same hole and 1 touching. Like literally, there's just 1 hole on the paper. It's just a little bit of an elongated hole from 3 bullets.
No kidding.
Yeah, he did really good. So
heck yeah.
So it was a good weekend for him,
I guess.
And then I got home Sunday night. I got good sleep. And then I got, it was my second night of sleep in my own bed. I'm starting to get back to feeling normal. It's just been a whirlwind.
And survived Monday. First Monday back.
I wonder why we're losing internet connection.
I don't know. It's just you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of odd. I'm going to have to.
Elon.
Yeah. Anyways. So that's been my month so far. I got to recover a little bit, and then I'm going to start deer hunting again. I'll do some blacktail hunting.
Yep.
But
and dogs. I
told Laura that I would give it a little bit of a rest. I said early October. Those deer aren't. It's
gonna get good. That's what last night I took the boys out and we passed on one. Because it's been 90 degrees during the day still. We got rain coming this week. I'm not going to shoot a little one today when I got 3 weeks of season left. I might kick myself in 3 weeks, but be better than kicking myself tomorrow when it's pouring down rain and there's slow walkers everywhere.
I always take the first week of deer. I've been starting to take the first week off of deer. So I'm like, I don't worry about the first week. But October 19th, I start hunting. It's kind of like, hey, that's, to me, that October 20th is when it's like, okay, things can start happening and stuff. And I used to just hunt, every day. But Laura's it's been kind of hard on with the dogs and everything else. So what I've been doing is I've been like, okay, well, I don't like deer. I love blacktail hunting. I really do. But the first week I always just drive around. I don't see anything but a bunch of does. And so I'm like, I'll just skip that part of it and just be like, I'll help around the house, get the dogs, I go take the dogs for a walk and get them some exercise and do that so that deer and elk season I can slip out again.
It's a hard time of year to balance.
Yeah.
I'm lucky, you're lucky. Everybody's tolerant to a point, but when you're getting close to that tipping point too. Yeah,
the dogs start getting a little wily and it's like, you got to take them and burn the energy off of them. So that's the hardest part about deer and elk season is the dogs because they get cooped up.
Yeah.
You can't take them out. You can't keep them burnt down. So on that avenue, I'm kind of excited for deer and elk to be over with so I can get the dogs back out.
Right.
You just run into guys out in the woods right now that are all really irritated that you have dogs out there. Then I just don't like doing that if I can help it.
We do weeknights. Because our season's open, and deer season's open. I never hunt opening week usually with the dogs. But after that, Tuesday nights, it's a good night to go.
Yeah.
Wait for the night shift crew of deer hunters to come out about 10 o'clock. Then you're pretty much free to go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So cool. Well, that has been my week.
Yeah.
You had your fishing trip while I was gone?
I did.
You slammed a bunch of fish?
Not a bunch. It was bad fishing. It was not really great. But we got lucky. So my oldest boy, Colin, he lost one at the boat the first day. And then...
The salmon?
Yes, cohos. And then the next day, this guy next to us hooked a little one, like a 10-pounder. And he says, hey, do one of those kids want this fish? I'm like, no, that's all right, buddy. He says, look, I'm going to kick it loose anyway. My tag's almost full. So, okay, cool. So he brings his boat over, hands the rod, and Connor reels this thing in. He fought it by himself. Mm-hmm. Gave the guy his rod back. And then Colin ended up catching a good one the next day. And my dad caught one. I got skunked, man. And usually I catch quite a few. But it was good. Like my goal, and my dad and I both, when we got that second one, it was a sigh of relief because both kids caught their fish, and that's like their trip every year with Grandpa.
Yeah,
and poor
it's always
Colin,
good when one catches a fish and the other doesn't. No. That's the.
I will stay out there as long as it takes. And then Colin hooked into that bigger fish, and he got the thing up to the boat. And I shouldn't say never. I'm very cautious when I net a fish because that's where everything's going to go south.
Right.
And we were fishing these big flashers and had a weight hanging off of it, and I got it hung up in the net. And it was to a point that every time I'd push the net, it would push the fish. So, like, you were never going to catch up to the fish.
Right.
I'm like, this thing's gone. It's going to go bye-bye any second. And it's up next to the boat. And I'm down there for probably 30 seconds trying to get this thing untangled. And finally, I got it down to where it's just the weight. I said, I got to unhook all this. So I unhooked it all. I've got the leader in my hand, and I felt this jerk and look over, and this fish starts to take off. And luckily, he just turned, and I was able to unhook it and get it netted, and we landed it. Or I would have felt like the worst father ever. And my dad's like... You messed with that forever. It felt like 2 minutes I was down there messing with this fish just laying there right next to me.
Yeah.
And an 8-year-old that's just pumped. He's already lost one fish. I'm like, This is sucky.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then we took him out. We went up to visit my grandma, got to see some elk, and did some mushroom hunting while we were up there. We had a good time.
Right on.
Yeah. Recharge.
Cool. Yeah. Exactly.
Minus the 4:30 in the morning every day thing. That gets old with kids.
Yeah.
That was rough. Luckily, there's a park right down the street from my dad's. So you got the beach about 2 blocks away and a park. So we just go run them ragged and get them tired.
Yeah. Get some sleep out of them.
Yeah. At least then when they went down, they were down.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right on. Yeah. We should get back on we're doing trying to get back in the swing of things. Working on the calendar, starting to go through, get that done.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, so got a lot of good submissions, like 250.
There's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of them in that calendar submission. So we're going through those now, and hopefully we'll get the calendar. I want to try and get that calendar fired up early November. Yeah, just hopefully get it before November would be good. Like early November is what I'm hoping for. Just getting back in the swing of things, trying to get back to work. This is bullshit, having to work. I don't like it.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Coming back after that long is rough. Like a couple days is one thing, but being gone for 2 weeks.
I haven't ever been gone that far out of service, probably. That's probably my longest that I've been.
Yeah.
Totally disconnected. And so, I mean, it would suck because I'd be at camp and I'd pull up my phone, I'd go to my email, and it's like, no internet connection. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm a sick son of a bitch. Like, why am I doing this? Like, so that part of it took a couple times for me to get used to not.
Yep.
Like, I kind of want to get rid of my phone a little bit now. I want to be like, oh, let me just start turning my phone off a little bit after work or whatever, which maybe I'll do today.
Just put it away.
Yeah. Well, that's not easy for me to do. It's right there.
Once you start doing it, it's easier.
Yeah. Well, I want to just turn it off. So we'll see.
Well, cat season's coming.
Yeah.
You'll get practice shutting it off.
Yeah. No, It'll go there. So, anyways, well, let's wrap this up because I got to go pick up Bradley.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm glad you made it back safe.
The next one we need to get on the dogs.
The next one I want to talk to you about skunks. That's all I'll say. I want to talk to you about skunks. I got
questions. You got a good story?
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell it now. We'll tell it on the next one. And I have questions regarding population and the attractiveness level to certain dogs.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll make a date of it.
We'll tease it.
Perfect. All right, Jason. Let's get to work.